Festus, so glad you're here. We appreciate this. We appreciate your time. We know you're busy. You've got this amazing workout that you're setting up. I wanted to thank our daughter, Allison, for helping me coordinate this with you. It's very, very cool.
Hi, Fess.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. How many people are on the call?
Sorry?
How many people are on the Zoom?
Right now, there's 57. So we have 57 hardworking, focused real estate agents. In fact, we were talking about, they were prospecting this morning, kind of before you came on since 9 o'clock. And, looking for business, trying to generate business, trying to work their craft and their skills. And we were talking about appointments set and leads generated. So,
I'm taking a picture, so I'm going to pose for you while you're taking the picture. No, that's cool, man. I know, like, it's really, 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 I don't even know what I would call these times. It's, at every stage, it always feels like there's something that comes up that is uncertain in our lives. And this is just another phase that, I always live by that phrase, this too shall pass. And so in my mind, it's just like, how do we then get through this in this moment? So I'm just happy that you guys have me on.
Well, we're thrilled. And, I did a little bit of research. I wanted to make sure that I had some of the information so that I could ask some questions. I talked with Allison at length on this. You and I have had conversations over the last couple of months that I've been able to get to know you a little bit and learn what an amazing guy you are and what things that you've run into. So maybe you might just take a moment or two and give us the original Reader's Digest version, and we can kind of work from there. Do you mind?
How much time do we got? Because it's a pretty long story, and my story is a lot of twists and turns. So how much time do I got? So I know how to phrase it for you.
Well, typically we do this for about 45 minutes to an hour, but we have the rest of the day.
All right, cool. Because I don't really have much plans for another couple hours.
No one's going to object if you go long.
All right, cool. So I'm Festus Ezeli, born and raised in Nigeria. Now I play basketball. Lucky enough to be drafted by the Golden State Warriors. Was there for 4 years. Won a championship with them. Lost the championship with them, and my story has. I was trying to figure out how to tell you guys my story. But like I said, it's too long. So I'm going to try to, shorten it up a little bit. So, you know me as a basketball player, yes. But my story is, it started off in Nigeria. I was born and raised there. I was there until I was 15 years old. And, being raised in Africa, as you can imagine, is different than this, right? It's, we learn how to make a lot with a lot less. We know how to make things, just work for us with not having the same, technologies and things that people have here, and things that I feel like sometimes I even take for granted after being here for so long. I remember growing up, we didn't have we didn't have electricity. So we would be outside at nighttime telling stories, hanging out, actually having fun as kids. I remember, going to the well in the morning to fetch water to get water for us to shower before we go to school. But these are things I didn't even think about, right? You think of those right now as like, tough things, but at the time it was just, part of my life, And so when I came to America, you would imagine that my whole world was blown wide open, right? It was like, man, this place is really the land of opportunity. And I really am living the American dream. I didn't come here to play basketball. Now, you guys know me as a basketball player now, but I actually came here to be a doctor. I came here to be the tallest doctor in America. And my whole life, I've always been, I always wanted to be, that was my dream since I was a kid. I always wanted to be a doctor. I think maybe a little bit of parental influence there because my mom always wanted a doctor in the family. And, I was on this fast track very, very academically inclined. I was not an athlete at all. In fact, I was a nerd, like really bad. I didn't play any sports. And I graduated high school really early, graduated high school at 14. And when I skipped grades, I was just really on the fast track. All I was just about my mom was an academic as well. She owned a school. I didn't go to her school, but she really like pushed me in terms of, me, being good at school and me being that guy, I'm the firstborn son. So they had high expectations for me, especially when they sent me to America to live with my uncle, who was a doctor, or who is a doctor. And have you guys ever heard of Yuba City? Anybody? Yuba City is Northern California.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in the boonies of Northern California. And so you can imagine, I'm excited to come to America, and I'm watching all these TV shows. I'm coming to America. I can't wait. And Yuba City was not what I expected when I came to America at all. But I moved with my uncle, and my uncle hadn't seen me. It was just me by myself, right? I was 14 years old at the time. I think I turned 15 like a month later after I came to America. And the first time away from home, scary times for me, very nerve-wracking. I'm moving away from my family with this idea that I'm going to go be a doctor. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it's like to go to school in America, but I had this dream and this vision. So when I came to America, my uncle explained to me, he saw me for the first time. I'm 6'4" and I'm 14 years old. So he's like, all right, so we got to do something with this, because, we can make this to an advantage. So maybe basketball is a good idea. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. And so he was trying to convince me, like, yo, basketball, this is, but how he sold me on it was, he told me I could get a scholarship. And if you go to school and you get a scholarship, then you don't have to pay for college. And I was like, man, because when he showed me how much college costs, I was like, yeah, I have to do something. There's no way. We can't afford it, especially converting it from our currency in Nigeria, which is Naira. So, he was trying to convince me. Actually, side note, so one of the first basketball games I ever went to was the Sacramento Kings versus Los Angeles Lakers. All right, that was the first, as a matter of fact, that was the first basketball game I ever saw in my life. And I saw our own dear Kobe Bryant for the first time. I had heard his name when I was back in Africa. I didn't know who he was. I didn't really know much about the game of basketball. But I heard people, even in Africa, throwing trash in the can and yelling Kobe. It was so powerful to me, like all the way in Africa, you guys got to think, like he has such a far reach. And, this person that I didn't even know had such a huge impact on me, because when I saw the game for the first time, I was like, wow, he just felt like, how everybody describes Michael Jordan? Well, that was my Michael Jordan, right? The first game I saw, I felt like it was an aura around him with the way he played. And I'm watching all these dudes. And at this time of my life, basketball was such a foreign concept, right? I told you I was not an athlete. So dribbling the ball between your legs was like magic to me. I was like, man, when I saw people do this stuff, I'm like, yo, this is incredible. So imagine how I felt when I'm watching NBA players, right? Everybody's amazing. But even in a game like that, I'm looking at all these people, and Kobe Bryant stands out, right? I think that game, he had like 47 or something crazy, and he hit the game winner in front of me. I was like, this dude is cold-blooded. Like, he doesn't, just something about his energy was like, I will win the game. And something about it spoke to me. That was my first game I ever saw. And at some point during this game, the only reason why this game is important is because this is my first basketball game I ever saw. And at some point during this game, my uncle looked at me and he said, you never know, maybe someday you'll be out here on the court. And I looked at him like, yo, are you on crack? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, and so why that part of my story is so important is because later on, he had this plan for me, right? So go back to high school. I'm still really young, right? I'm 15 at this time. And I'm like, yo, he's like, it doesn't make sense for you to go to college right now. 15 years old, you would be lost, right? And so he was like, go back to high school. You could learn to play basketball with people your age, and then maybe you could get a scholarship to go to college, and it would be easier for you that way. Okay, well, the plan sounded good until I went back to high school. I actually signed up, and, like I said, I don't know how much to tell you guys, because each part of my life has a really funny and like interesting part of it. The only thing I'll tell you about the high school I went to high school in Sacramento. I went to Jesuit high school, right? And you can imagine like the commute from Yuba City to Sacramento was an hour and a half for me every day to go to school, right? Traffic time, all that. And that was the sacrifice they put into me. Like it was a really expensive school, you know, all that stuff, but it was go play basketball. Well, when I got there, I didn't make the team. I wasn't good. So yeah, that was the plan, and you know, it didn't work out because I didn't know how to play basketball. We forgot that part. So they gave me the ball for the first time. I remember it when I went to practice, and they saw me, you know, big black guy, right? So you probably play basketball. Yeah, that wasn't the case. And so they gave me the ball for the first time. They were like, yo, show us what you could do. And I'd never shot a basketball before, so and just threw it against the backboard. And people were laughing because they thought I was kidding, but that was where I came from. And I like telling that story. And, you know, my first practice, because, you know, they were doing the three-man weave. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with that, but three-man weave, simple for us now. But at the time, I was looking like, I do not understand what's happening. And I'm like messing it up every time I get in there. And obviously they cut me from the team, like I said. So my dreams were deferred there. And so if you understood where I came from, right, would that be my story? And if you stopped right there, it would be like, okay, well, that's it for that journey, right? Well, it's funny how life works out sometimes, because you have this dream and you have this thing, and, you know, if you're willing to work for it, you just never know how life turns out, right? And so short version is I met this guy who actually, he was a father of a guy who was going to be on the team. And so he's walking through the campus one day, he sees me, and he was walking through the campus with the coach, and he sees me, and as they're talking, you know, he's like, wow, you guys are going to be pretty good this year. Like, you got a big kid, like all that. And the coach says, yeah, we're going to be good, because Jesuit High School was really good at basketball. They probably still are, I think, but not because of him. He says so the man's name is Keith, right? Talking to the coach. And so Keith says, what's the problem? What are you talking about? You got a big kid. He said, yeah, but, you know, he can't play. He said, and he always likes telling me this part of the story. That's why I always remember this part, because he likes telling the story like this. So he says, so what's the problem? What's the problem? Can he run? The coach says, yeah. Can he jump? Coach says, yeah. What's the issue? He says, he can't play. So he just says to the coach, can I have him? And the coach is like, I do what you want. And so this man came up to me, random guy, and says, hey, I would love for you to play on my AAU team. I don't know what AAU is. He tries to explain it to me that, you know, it's a travel team. You know, he travels around with this team. They stay in hotels together, and they, you know, play in tournaments. So I was excited to hear all this. I couldn't really process it, but I needed to, you know, get home. When I got home that night, I waited till midnight, you know, to call my parents, time difference and all. So, you know, called my family back home in Nigeria. I said, listen, the dream's not dead yet, right? Like, I could still play basketball, we could play AAU, whatnot. And, you know, there's this guy I met, and he told me, you know, he does this travel thing where they travel around, they play. So she was like, I remember talking to my mom and my dad, and they were sitting, and I think they were like, huh, so you met this random man on the street, and you're saying you guys are all going to be traveling together, staying in hotel rooms, and man, they hung up their phone so fast. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, those are the funny parts of my story, you know.
So
later down the line, I ended up playing AAU with this man, right? I played AAU with his team, I think 2 summers in a row, or maybe 3. The first time I ever played in a game, I scored against my own team. Yeah, I'm gonna let that register. I want y'all to hear that properly, and everything that comes with that, right? Because I didn't know the rules of the game. I didn't know that at halftime you switch sides. I didn't know anything. And so I scored against my own team, my first bucket, and everything that came with that, right? People making fun of me, my teammates pissed because you're like, you already can't play, so you can't then be a detriment to us on top of it, you know what I mean? And So I remember, after that tournament, we traveled together. We went to LA or something. And after that tournament, I remember sitting with him. I was like, yo, like, I don't think that this is something I can do. Like, I'm really way behind. All these people are, they've been playing since they were 5 years old. And I probably can't catch up. And he was like, have you tried? Like, how do you know? And that's something that I would say for everybody, right? Because a lot of times, like, we want to give up on something before we even try. It's like, it's too hard. I can't do it, right? I even went home that day and I told my uncle, I was like, I don't want to play anymore. Like, this is not fun to me. They make fun of me all the time. Like, I'm trying to do it, but it's just not working out. And for a 15-year-old kid, it's when your friends are making fun of you, that's tough for you psychologically, right? And so, they kind of let that die. But my uncle said something to me that bothered me, though. He said, yeah, it's okay. You weren't really good at it anyway. I was like, damn, you're not supposed to agree with me. You know what I mean? You're supposed to make me feel better. And if you know my spirit, if you know anything about me, I'm a very, very competitive person. And that spoke to me, So I started doing little things. Like I just started working on the game randomly. Like I started doing things like I would, at nighttime, I don't know why I did it this way. At nighttime when my uncle went to sleep, I would wait till he'd go to sleep, and then I would go outside and I would run. I would try to run a mile. I was really terrible shape, right? I would try to run a mile. Like I would get to like 0.4 miles, and I would my side would start hurting. But I kept working and working on that. And I remember even my first workout, I had a trainer. Keith got me this trainer, right? This guy who's a pro trainer, and it's supposed to have a 1-hour session with him. About 15 minutes into the workout, I go lay down on the floor. I'm dying, I just like telling these parts of the story because, that's where I came from, right? I came from a place where, I was so far behind. Everything looked like there's no shot. And luckily, I had somebody like that who pushed me. I remember the drive back after that where Keith really kicked my ass. He was like, yo, listen, you have to get your shit together. Sorry if I'm cussing, guys, because sometimes I get really passionate about this. But he said, you got to get your shit together. This, like, if I'm going to invest my time, it's not even about the money. Like, put the money aside. If I'm going to invest my time in you, I want you to work just as hard for me, right? And he was like a father to me at this point because my dad and my mom were back in Africa. Right? I had somebody who was there to support me. And he told me that. Well, I want to fast forward a little bit because the story gets kind of complicated after that, right? Because at some point during the story, I was the video guy for a junior college because I ended up leaving the high school because, I didn't make the team. So, we kind of moved on from there. So I went to a junior college because I felt like, I could do the school thing and then maybe get a scholarship that way. While I was at the junior college, the college coach saw me one day walking around campus and he convinced me to come, be a part of the team, even though I was explaining to him, I don't know anything about the game. But he was like, yo, I'll teach you. I don't care. You're 6'8" at this point. I'll teach you. You know what I mean? And, people like that, he made me take, I'm sure none of you guys know anything about this. I took a basketball class. Like it was an actual academic class. Like they teach people how to dribble the ball. It was me and like 70 and 80-year-old people in the class learning how to dribble. And that was my story, They made me take a dance class. I'm doing like calisthenics and stuff, learning how to have hand-eye coordination, right? And, after that, I was still able to play AAU because at this time I'm still 16 years old, right? So I'm going to junior college. I'm the video guy for the team. By the way, I'm the video guy for the team. I'm horrible at being a video guy because at this time I'm starting to enjoy basketball. So I'm like recording the game. I would come off the bus. Actually, I'm like 6'8", right? So one of the taller guys on the team. And people would see me like, whoa, that's a big dude. But then I'd like whip out the tripod and stuff. And be like, what the heck is going on? And so after this, I would record games, and now I'm starting to get into the game, right? And people, at some point they would run, and I would look at them, but the camera would stay over here, So maybe that wasn't my calling, being a video guy. But ended up playing AAU 2 summers after this, right? So like I would train with them, take basketball classes and whatnot, travel with the team during the year, and then in the summer I would play AAU. Well, 2 summers after this, I become one of the top 150 under 18 kids in the country, right? People would see that and say, well, you made it, right? Now you made it. I went to a top 150 kids camp in New Jersey, not Philly, New Jersey. And at that camp, I got, after that camp, I think I got like 40 scholarship offers. And I'm like, man, that was the whole thing. I got cut in high school, but I got 40 scholarship offers. This is incredible, right? I went through the list of schools. I chose Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was best of all 3 worlds. You know, to me, I didn't know anything about Nashville. I didn't know anything about the South. Ended up choosing Nashville because, you know, it just was the great school. Academic, it was top 15. And I think it still is, despite me going there. It was, you know, it was an up and coming basketball program. I love the coach, my teammates. I think we had 8 freshmen at the time on the basketball team in my class. So for me, it was like I met them and it was great. There's a couple of other visits I went to. I won't name the schools, USC. And when I went there, some of the guys wanted to fight me at the school. I think it was like somebody who thought that I was coming to take their position. And while I was playing against them, it got really aggressive. So when I went to Nashville, I went to Vanderbilt, and these guys are so dope, so cool. I really enjoyed it. And the coach said something to me that no other coach actually said, because one of my stipulations I told him was I wanted to redshirt my first year. I wanted to be a practice player the first year. And he said, why? All the college coaches were like, what are you talking about? We need you to come play right now. And my answer was, I've never been on an actual organized team before, right? Because I had only played on the AAU teams, the summer teams, kind of makeshift teams that you travel around with. And I wanted to know what that meant, right? How do you be a good teammate? How do you, I don't understand any of that stuff. Like, how do I even contribute to this team? Because that was another jump for me. Now I was like, I was top 150 kids in high school. When you get to college, especially D1, all these dudes are all 4 or 5 star players, right? They're all top 50 of wherever they came from. So that was a whole another jump for me. And the first few years, I didn't play at all. Right? I played 5 minutes a game, even after the year of being a practice player. Now I went through all that, and by my junior year, I was an all-conference player. I was the team captain, all that. And I remember, one of my favorite moments was, as a practice player, there was a guy on my team who was incredible. I mean, it's crazy how like greatness comes and goes, right? Because this dude, he was so good. I thought for sure he was an NBA player, right? Because the way he did crazy things. He was the first dude I ever seen, at least college player, I see have 50 in a game, right? In front of me. And I'm like, holy crap, this is incredible. And he hit the game winner that game. So I thought for sure he was going to go to the NBA, especially. And so there was this award he got. And it was our mascot and our team name is the Commodores, Vanderbilt Commodores. And there's an award you get. It's Mr. Commodore, right? It's the best all-around athlete, the student athlete, right? You have great grades and you're, just the model athlete. And I saw that as a practice player, and I saw him get this award. And I thought that was like, man, it was so incredible because everybody loved this guy. He ended up making it to the NBA. He got drafted in the second round, but he kind of fizzled out, right? And I was like, man, this is it must be crazy to make it to the NBA. Like this dude I saw was so good. Anyway, fast forward to me, my junior year, like I said, I was a team captain, all conference player, all these things. And this came from nowhere because, to be honest, I wasn't really even trying to be I was just wanted to be a good player so I could help my team win. And if you watch me play a game at that time, I just was having fun. That was all I was thinking about was just playing basketball and having a good time. And after my junior year, after all these things, and out of nowhere, because the year before I played like 10 minutes a game. Now I'm like the team cap, all these things, and it's like, what happened, right? After the season was over, they projected me a lottery pick in the NBA draft, which is like you could be a potential top 14 pick. And I'm like, damn, like this is great, but I can't leave. First off, my mom wouldn't let me leave college early because, well, I had to get my degree. The pre-med thing actually went sideways because as college started to go along, it was hard for me to focus on that and basketball. And I started to really, really fall in love with the game. So halfway through college, actually before that junior year that I had a really good year, I switched my majors to economics and ended up, still something professional because, like I said, my mom won't let me do anything else at the time. Yeah, I'm a mama's boy. All right, let's get over it. And so I ended up after that. I didn't want to leave college. I couldn't leave early. Ended up coming back my senior year, and plus I felt like we had some unfinished business. I wanted to go. I wanted to win something. I wanted to win the championship. I thought we had a chance, especially with me coming back. So came back my senior year, and like a week before the season starts, I actually in practice, I jump up to get a rebound or contest a shot or something, and I land awkwardly on my teammate. I tear up my knee, tore up my MCL, like everything. They thought I was done playing basketball. They were like, my coach actually started crying. This was his, like, I was his baby, like I was the person that he saw grow up. And in practice, like people said, you could hear a pin drop. They were like, what just happened? This is it was like almost like your prized horse, right? Is the person you groomed up from essentially nothing, right? And everything I'd worked for, like everything I had, I don't even know how to describe the feeling I had at the time. So after all this, I tore my knee up and I'm sitting there just looking as the doctor tries to test my knee. My knee goes like it's straight here and he tries to test it and it goes all the way out. Like it's crazy what happened. So I'm looking and I'm like, wow, after all this, really? Like it's over. Like this is it. And I don't know, something happened like later on. I think me and my mom, like we prayed or something, and she called me and obviously crying, and she couldn't be there because she lived in Nigeria at the time. And we prayed and we talked about it, and she was like, "Your story's not over yet." I was like, "Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't do anything." And just that little fire that she put in me, I was back on the court 6 weeks later. Like I was so mad. It was not even because I was so mad because my team was losing. You know what I told the doctor? I told him, yo, take my leg up. I'm good. I don't even care. Just take me up. And he taped my leg up. I couldn't even bend my leg because at the time, like I told you, my knee's like this. I was like, I don't care. Take me up. I'm good to go. And after doing some rehab, obviously I did rehab and some stuff, and I felt like, I could do something. By the grace of God, I don't know what even happened that game. It's still like a blur to me, but we win that game, right? And had some, after that, I was like, the adrenaline wore off and I had some pain and whatnot. But by the end of that season, I was back playing again. And we actually took that team to win the championship. We were the only team that beat Anthony Davis and the Kentucky Wildcats. Right? First time in 50 years we did that at Vandy. So ended up getting drafted by the Warriors, first round, 30th pick. And now the process starts over again, right? So now I get to the NBA. It's crazy. I get drafted. It's insane to me because I start running back and thinking about all these moments in my life already. Like, man, like they told me I couldn't play in high school. I remember my uncle taking me to the game, trying to get me to play basketball. I'm like, man, this is insane, right? My first NBA game is against the Los Angeles Lakers, against Kobe Bryant. My first NBA game is against Kobe. And the first game is against the person that my uncle looked at me and said, you never know, someday you'll be out here on the court. You just don't know. You're like when you speak things out, right? You don't know what you're saying, right? And at the time, it looks crazy to you. You just never know, right? And so he said it to me at 15. And at 21, I'm in the NBA, right? And it's like, what? You know what I mean? And so we end up playing against the Lakers. And it was that Laker team that had like Dwight Howard, Steve Nash. And before that season started, they had already given them the crown. Like, they're going to be the champions of this season because nobody else can play like them, right? So we ended up, and I remember standing in the center circle. I was starting that game. As a rookie, I'm starting in the NBA. Damn. And I'm standing at the center circle, and no, not my uncle. Kobe is walking up to me. And it felt like he was walking in slow motion because I was just like, it felt like a movie. And he walks up to me to give me a pound. And I just remember my hands shaking. I was like, you know, we played that game and he was just so good, man. Like, he was incredible. They were up by 20 points at halftime because I think we were just in such awe of the fact that we were all playing against Kobe that we were like almost like watching him play while we were playing the game, you know? At some point though, during that game, something switched, right? Everybody it was like halftime. It's probably Draymond yelling at everybody or something. And we all like locked back in and it turned into focus, right? All right, now we got to win the game. And it's that thing about your idols becoming your rivals. Well, we won that game, by the way. We're down 20. We won that game. That was the start of the Warriors regime that you see now, right? That was this champion, these teams that you see. It started with little decisions that we made all the way from that first game. My first game was a lot of people's first games because Steph was hurt for a long time. He came back that season. Me, Harrison, Draymond were rookies. Kent Bazemore, if you guys remember him. We're all rookies, and we just didn't know what to expect because the NBA, we've been working for this for a long time, and this is our dream now, and we're here. We go through that season with Mark Jackson. It's incredible. We're winning games. We're playing great. Steph is like an unbelievable shooter. Clay is killing it. Draymond is coming on his own. We had David Lee. We had Andrew Bogut. We had Jared Jack, Carl Ant, like all these. So we actually had this belief in ourselves as we started going. We believed that we were going to win an NBA championship that year as rookies, right? There's something to be said for blind faith sometimes, right? And somebody said something to me last week, and I kind of want to share with you guys. And say, if you put it simply, hope is just being positive. It's nothing to it. It's just you're being positive in a situation where you don't see anything else positive, right? That's what faith and hope is. And so for us at that time, that thing that we called blind faith, especially as rookies, not knowing what the heck we're doing, just playing the NBA, just thinking we could come in here and win championships. 3 years later, we do win a championship. But before that, you miss the fact that the next season, matter of fact, my rookie year, the last game of the season, ironically in Portland, but the last game of the season, my rookie year, I hurt that same knee that I hurt in college, right? And after that season, that summer I had to have surgery. Now, this is my first surgery. And because the first time I didn't have surgery in college, now I have to actually have surgery. So I'm like, man, this is wild. And so a 6-month recovery time turned into 18 months. I missed the whole next season. So my high of making it to the NBA and everything quickly went to a low, right? And so I go through a hard second season. It was like rehab every day. You're watching them play. You're watching them lose some games and win some. And it's like, man, like I could help. And I actually had we actually had some back and forths, me and Bob Myers at the time, because I was like, I'm ready to go. I want to play. And he's like, dude, no, go sit down somewhere. And, you know, I go through a whole season of watching my guys play. And we lost in the first round, the playoffs. It was tough, right? And the first year, I forgot to say, we beat the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs. We make the playoffs for the second time in 20 years, and we beat the Denver Nuggets. That was the Denver Nuggets with Andre Iguodala, and we ended up stealing him after the game is over, after that series is over. for the following year. So the whole second year, we go through our season. I didn't play, so I don't want to talk about that one. So the third season, I remember even on it was my birthday, October 21st, 2014. Coach Kerr comes to practice. I'm sitting there in film, just like, I'm like, man, I want to play, And I'm sitting there in film. Coach Kerr says, for your birthday today, we're going to let you play. I was like, yes. You know what I mean? All this hard work for 18 months. 18 months of rehab, you guys don't understand. Like, I can't imagine what that is like in your world. I guess it's what it is right now, right? It's this season of just waiting. You're just waiting for your moment. And so we go through 18 months of rehab, come back the following season, and just short form, I just want to give you just a short, is we go through a season where we finally have all the pieces in 2014. Everybody's healthy, the cards align, and we go through an NBA season and we're like, let's just see what we can do this season, right? And each round is like, man, oh, damn, we beat them? All right, the next one. And then we beat them, and we get to I think it was the Houston Rockets. And actually, we go to Memphis, and people think that we're done because Memphis is rough and tumble, and we got shooters. Apparently, they just forgot about the big guys in the middle. They're like, oh, yeah, they just have light-skinned shooters. Nobody cares about – it's like, yo, what about the big guys? You know what I mean? And so we go through that series, and for us, it was a huge ego boost, confidence boost to beat the Memphis Grizzlies because they were so tough. After that series, we're all tired. It's like, man, it was like a brawl every game, all right? Then you go to Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets had beat us 3 times that season. But, they beat the Jesus out of us when they beat us. It was like they almost even set the record of points of differential in the loss one time. And another giant, right? So you're going in, it's the David versus Goliath again. And we had a game plan, and we just we're playing out of our minds, and we're doing all these things, and we're locking, and we beat the Houston Rockets. And it was like, damn, we're actually in the NBA Finals. This is happening. This is not a dream. We're actually doing this, And now we got to play against LeBron James and Cleveland Cavaliers, and it's like, man, oh man, this dude is incredible. I don't know much about Michael Jordan. We always have these conversations about who was the greatest ever. I didn't watch Michael play because I was back in Nigeria. And I see his stuff in arrears now. I always watch his videos in retrospect and all these things, and he was incredible. But I can tell you from firsthand that LeBron James, if God created somebody to be just an athlete, that is what that person is. Right? LeBron James is incredible. And it just felt like the whole time he just each game we're getting tired. He's just going up and up and up, jumping higher, running faster. This is not a LeBron James appreciation Zoom call, so let me stop. But I was just saying that, it was a tough series for us. And we end up in 6 games. We beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we won the NBA championship. The Golden State Warriors won an NBA championship. That team that 3 years prior only won 18 games, right? So the story is like this, right? It ebbs and flows. Everything is when we come back the following season. And matter of fact, let me even stay on the championship. We won the NBA championship, and all these things are running through my mind. I'm holding an NBA trophy. And it's still that same story of that guy that couldn't play in high school. It's like, man, if I stopped right there, I would have never gotten to this moment. I would never gotten to see this thing, right? I'm one of it's in history. My name is in history. Matter of fact, it became more crazy because the following season, we break the record for the most wins in the NBA of history, right? So it's like, what is happening? I remember after the championship, I was so after we won the championship, I was so afraid. I was like, this can't be. There's no way. Something is off here because I'm too happy. You know how when you're happy, you're like, wait, this all right. Am I dreaming? And I was so scared to go to sleep that night. This is not a joke. I'm real. Like I didn't want to go to sleep that night. I was like, yo, I'm gonna wake up from this dream, right? So we're like drinking champagne and we're acting a fool. We're doing whatever we're doing because we went in Cleveland. There's nothing else to do but get drunk at the hotel. So, so we do whatever we do, and I pass out at some point. And like an hour later, I woke up like, oh shoot, yo, it's real. I won a championship in the NBA. Wow, you know? So we go through this crazy high. And even that is not enough, right? Because we're like, we still want more. After that summer, like we're texting each other back and forth. You guys better be working out. I'm like, Draymond, get your stuff together. I'm talking to Bogut like, yo, I'll be working out in Australia because I'm gonna kick your ass when you come back. We're like, everybody's going back and forth because like it's like that high, right? That high of winning. And we come back the following season, and yo, that was probably the most fun I ever had playing basketball because playing in practice, the same way we were talking smack the whole summer. We come back the following season, and practice is the hardest part of the season because we're all going for each other's heads. We're just like, and then when we get to the games, it's easy, right? We won 24 games in a row to start the season. It was like, because we were playing so hard in practice, just the most complete team ever, right? And we go through that season. Long story short, you know, we broke the record for most wins in the NBA. We go all the way, and you know, we get to the playoffs. And it's like just accolades after accolades. Steph wins another MVP. This person's defensive player of the year. This person, like, it's just like accolades, right? So everything is great. And so we get to the playoffs, and it's like nobody can beat the Warriors, right? And so that's true until we get to Oklahoma City. We got to Oklahoma City, and then it was like KD and Russell Westbrook. And all of a sudden, bang, 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 we're down in the series. They're up 3 wins to 1 loss. And we were like, I don't even know, like, how do you come back from this? Because they're the Warriors, but with a 7-foot Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, right? So it's like, we can't do anything here. But just like in every situation, man, like your back is against the wall, there's always something you can do. Right? We always think that there's nothing you can do. You always think like, yo, this mountain is too high. This Goliath is too big. And so we just keep crawling, right? Clay has a crazy game 6. It was a game 6 Clay, you know? We just keep like, each game is just something. It's just somebody comes in and you just keep rolling. And we beat Oklahoma. But I remember after we beat Oklahoma City, so I go to church the day after, and I'm Catholic, so I go to church, and I'm sitting in church, and the Reverend, he says something in the middle of church. He was like, he's about to give his little speech or homily or whatever, and he was like, man, like, I really wanted to give a speech today. I wanted to talk to you guys about what's going on, but you know, as I was trying to write last night, I kept hearing people screaming. And, you know, I would try to write and somebody would scream, and I would try to write and somebody would scream. After all, I went to see what's going on. Then 5 hours later, I'm celebrating the Warriors beating Oklahoma City. The only reason why I'm telling you guys this is because, well, I didn't write anything today for you guys to talk about, but we can celebrate the fact that the Warriors won last night because we were also, you know, so that everybody stood up in church and gave me a standing ovation because I was in the back. It was incredible. That's what the Warriors meant to the city, right? And now we're in the NBA Finals again, and there's no way we're gonna lose this. We've been through everything, right? Well, we went to the finals, and as the series goes on, we're like, man, like we're starting to lose people, right? We're up, and we're winning games because we're used to winning games, but then we're starting to lose people. People are starting to get banged up. Bogut gets hurt. Draymond gets suspended. This happens, that happens, this happens. I get hurt, but I have to play, right? Because everybody's hurt. There's nobody, like, we have to play. It's the NBA Finals. You literally have to take my leg and just rip it apart for me not to play. Probably the worst game of my life. Like, the whole world is watching. Literally, that's the biggest, I think it's the highest ratings the NBA has ever had of that finals, right? Whole world is watching, and we lost. Right? We lost a championship. that team that broke the record for 73 wins, we lost. Like, damn, what happened? Like, we're supposed to be the favorites. Like, God was on our side. Matter of fact, I thought that God was guiding Steph Curry's shots the way he was making shots from half court. I'm like, yo, there's no way. This is little baby Jesus, you know? And I only say that to say that, like I said, you got to ride the wave sometimes, right? Life is highs and it's lows. And that was a crazy low. Like, I'm one of the most competitive people out there. And I couldn't believe, right? People could never, I was trying to play, but I was so hurt because I came back mid-season, I had some stuff done in my knee, and I tried to play through some injury. And that was all she wrote, right? This is 2016. So later that year, I signed with the Portland Trailblazers. And when I'm with the Portland Trailblazers, I guess I had done some damage to my knee or something playing in that game. And I couldn't, they tried to rehab me, bring me back. I tried. I even looked good for a few practices, but no. So after that, I ended up having to have a surgery. First player to ever have this surgery, right? Very complicated stuff, right? Something to do with my cartilage and whatnot. But this surgery, the reason why nobody ever does it is because it takes 3 years to recover, right? Matter of fact, my 3 years was like 2 weeks ago, right? And now I had to face one of the lowest lows because I have fought so hard for my career. I've worked so hard. Like, I can't even, me telling you guys I worked hard, it's unfathomable how much I had to work on my game, right? I would have to come back at midnight to work on catching the ball, like something so basic, but I had no skills. So I had to get everything I had. So now I had to start all over. I lost all the muscle. Matter of fact, I was in the wheelchair for 6 months after the surgery. And we're not even talking about basketball. I'm talking about trying to walk at this point. So I go from the NBA finals to being in the wheelchair for 6 months. So back to my original thing. In my life, it's been ebbs and flows. There's a constant theme of rebuilding, right? And so constantly, I'm always having to start over, right? Like, whether it's coming to America, I had to start over. Trying to play basketball, I had to start over. Getting to college, started over. With the Warriors, getting injured. Like, it's just over and over and over and over. I've had really high highs, but they've always come after the really low lows. And so for me, I stay faithful and I stay hopeful because I've already seen it already. I've seen it through my whole history so far. So I trust in the fact that I know I can come back from wherever it is I came from because I've done it so far. Like, I've done it. There's no way I beat the odds. Like, even when the doctor told me what my odds were of the surgery, he was like, okay, it's like 10% of playing basketball again. I was like, do you know what the odds are of me playing the NBA from where I came from? It was 0.00, probably to the 50th degree, right? 10% is a lot. You know what I mean? So I know that these are really, really crazy times that we're going through right now, right? And so I always think about it like the same way that I thought about it back then. I didn't know where I was going to go, but I just knew that if I just kept taking one step every day, just in the positive direction, right? Because when the thing hits, like whatever it is, whether it's injury, whether it's loss of a job, whether it's quarantine, or whenever it hits, all those positive quotes that you say to yourself, they go out the window. You don't really care about David and Goliath and all these crazy quotes that you say that we post on Instagram all the time. Nobody cares about that, right? But I try to do these things every day. I stayed with Allison for a while. She saw me. Like, sometimes people get annoyed with me because every morning, the first thing I do when I wake up, I got to meditate and I got to put something positive on to keep my mind going in that direction because I know that, I'm going to defeat this thing. Whatever it is, I'm going to defeat it. I just got to keep taking steps every day. And so remember what I said about hope. Hope is just being positive. And so even in these times, I'm still very hopeful. I know that things are going to come back to normal. I know that we're going to, people have made like amazing inventions. I heard Ford Motor Company was made in the middle of a recession, right? Even William Shakespeare, he wrote King Lear in quarantine. You know what I mean? So people have made amazing things and have become like, they have been miracles in the middle of like tough downturn, right? So I don't want anybody to lose hope in the fact that whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, that you don't see it right now, because you go through tough times, just like I said before, but something great always comes on the other side. So thank you guys for listening to my story.
Thank you. Festus, that was great. Awesome. You have a couple more minutes because I want to put a couple things here. Okay.
Whatever questions you guys got.
So when I'm reading about your story and I'm talking to Allison and I remember the stories that you and I told that you told me, and I kind of look at this and I think to myself, how does it relate to a real estate agent's life? And the way I put this together was, you could have a real estate agent who doesn't know very much in the very beginning of their career. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. They don't know when to say it. I mean, it's kind of like your history of, you don't know how to throw a ball. You don't know how to dribble a ball. You started with you're tall, but you didn't have any of the other skills, and you're smart. So that was kind of a plus. But so the real estate agent is learning. We have a lot of newer agents here that are trying to move to the next level. So what was the focus and the tenacity? Was it putting one step in front of the other to learn the basic skills and then take those basic skills? Because you're right. I don't even know if it's 0.1% from where you started to become the pinnacle of being a champion NBA ball player, the center of the best team, the best year, is amazing from where you came. So that's kind of what I want the agents to see, that clay can be molded and added to and honed and polished and fired on and then grown. And you're the result, my friend.
I think that, in my case, because I can just tell y'all my story, right? That's what I can, and maybe you can take something from that. But in my case, one of the things I said earlier was, I didn't even know I was good at, even when I became good, I didn't even know until later on they started giving me all these awards and I became the team captain, right? So the idea there was not because I'm saying like I didn't know. It's more of like, there was a certain focus that I had that I wasn't really looking at the mountains to say like, oh, like I got to climb all of Everest today, right? It was more like, I have to put one step, right? Today, there's a quote that says, all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. And so I said that to my brothers the other day, because I'm a big brother, so I got to do this too with them. And, they have days when it's like, I'm like, okay, have you done everything you could do today? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So then okay, what have you done? I'm like, okay, I did this. Can you double that? Can you triple that? Right? There's always something you can do. Like I said, I was working on catching the ball. These are things that I had to work on, right? But for everybody, like, and I told the story the way I did because it didn't stop at, oh, well, I made it to college. Now I made it the whole way. I still had to, there's another level of adversity. There's another level of something I had to deal with at each part of my career, right? And we watched, I don't know if you guys all watched the Michael Jordan documentary, Last Dance. Incredible.
Dance.
Probably the best thing on TV right now. If anybody tells me Tiger King is the best thing on TV, we're going to have a problem. Last Dance is the best thing on TV for two reasons. After it was done, somebody, like people always, we talk about it, I'm always on social media, talking my stuff. And so we were talking about it. I was like, what do you guys think about it? And somebody messaged me and said, and he is a pro player, right? But he plays overseas. So he messaged me and said, I wish I saw that when I was younger. I was like, why? He said, well, it made Michael Jordan seem more human because we look at him and we think that greatness is here and we're all here, right? But there are decisions that he made every day. I don't know if you guys, there are little things, I catch these things all the time. So when Michael Jordan was cut from the team in high school as well. He made it the next year, right? He went to college. When he got to North Carolina, he said, I want to be the best player on the team. And the coach was like, yo, what did he say? He said something about working. Yo, I work just as hard as all those guys. And the coach said, I thought you said you want to be the best player on the team. Right. He said, all right, watch. I will work harder than anybody on this team. Even when he made it to the NBA, his mindset was like, he broke his foot. And they were like 90-10. Even I was like, yo, 90% you could re-injure your foot. Or 90% it's healthy. And 10% you could re-injure your foot and be done for your career. And he said, why are you guys so focused on the 10%? There is 90% of me being good. Just in that little sentence right there is you could see the mentality. It's not about greatness just being great. It's about decisions that you make. Even in the face of adversity, when you see this, you see they say 10%, and people will be like, oh man, like that's not enough. Or people say, oh, well, you're not good enough to play in high school. I could just be like, okay, well, that's it, right? But then there's little steps that you take, and eventually you get there. And so even right now, I think about, our NBA season is canceled. Obviously, there's jobs and things, and we're all sitting at home. So how do I stay positive right now? Personally, for me, there are things that I read to keep my mind. I got to be at a high frequency. Like, I got to work out. If I don't work out, you could definitely tell my mood, because I'm like, so I always got to be at a high frequency, because then I can always see the light, right? That's one. I got to eat good. I got to eat right. I got to eat healthy. Like, I don't know about, I read things about food, and I've done every kind of diet out there. I've been vegan. I've gone, Whole30. I've done pescatarian and vegetarian and all the Tarians. I've done all of them, right? I think that it's always important. It doesn't really matter what you do, right? I limit red meat because I think that drains your body, right? It takes, your body can't digest red meat, or it doesn't do it very easily. So it takes a lot of energy to digest it, sucks your energy, and it's like, it just makes you feel whatever. So I need a lot of greens. You need a lot of fruit in your body. And it's not me, I'm not trying to be a health guru. I'm just saying, these are things that help me vibrate at a high frequency, right? I got to read, I got to do something. Like, I talk about meditating. I just started doing that a couple of years ago, because in the middle of my recovery, I realized that I got to take control of my mind, because our minds naturally are going to go negative. They're always going to go, like, we're always going to cling to that negative thought. That's like, oh, you can't do this. You're not good enough. You're not skinny enough. You're not as good as that person. But why do you have to be as good as, focus on your journey, right? Like, you constantly in meditation have to keep bringing your mind back. That's what the purpose is. It's not like, I had this conversation with somebody who was like a guru of that science, I guess you call it. And she said, you're almost practicing forgiveness when you're doing meditation. You're practicing forgiving yourself. Because in the middle of meditation, people get frustrated. The reason why a lot of people don't do it is because they get frustrated. Like, yo, I can't stop my mind from thinking. Your job is not to stop your mind from thinking. It's to first of all, it's to control the emotions that you get from the thoughts that you get. Because you try to control it. Even in trying to meditate, we try to control, like, no, I want my mind to be quiet. No, that's not the point, right? It's that you have those thoughts. And when it drifts off, you bring it back. You bring your what do you call it? You bring your thoughts back, and you bring yourself back. And when you do it, you have to do it lovingly, right? It's like, I understand that I have these thoughts, but they're just thoughts. And when you do that constantly, that constant exercise, you'll notice that even during the day, when you have bad thoughts, because we're all human, I have bad thoughts too. Like, I have days where I'm like, man, like, am I gonna get healthy? But then when I have that thought, immediately I come back and I'm like, yo, I'm just having one of those days. And as part of it in the recovery journey, I'll be okay, right? And then notice, like, the next day I feel better. I'm like, I'm good, right? So I think that all these things are important for all of us. These are exercises that we can all learn and use during these times.
That's a great thought. Thank you for the coaching tip. I'm going to start using this afternoon. Have you done everything that you could do today? If so, okay, let's go double it. Okay. I love that. Watch out, everybody. Here we come.
Oh, that's real, man. That's real.
I know, no, for sure, 100%. I love this, and that's what brought you up in your journey. I mean, absolutely, I love that. There was a question here, and maybe you kind of covered it now. One of the guys asked it. So after winning your first ring in 2015, how'd you deal with the complacency? Like, I got this. It's mine. It doesn't get a lot better than that.
Like the really cool thing about us, that I enjoyed that team so much. And if if you follow me on social media, you still see that I rep that team still, even though I'm not a part of it anymore, just because of the brotherhood that we made during that time. But that we all came from nothing. Like we all were, I won't say nothing because, Steph was the son of a NBA player. So that wasn't nothing, but he was an underachiever, right? Skinny kid, his only college offer was Davidson, which is not a high-powered school. He ends up making it from there. Draymond was a fat kid. That's why he's always angry all the time. He was a fat kid that got skinny and that got good at basketball. And then, Clay, everybody was underrated on that team, right? And so when we won, it wasn't a feeling of, I think after we won, they had something to say about the fact that, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they would have beat us if they were healthy and whatnot. And so we had this chip on our shoulder still. It wasn't about, it was like, we'll show you guys and we'll be better the next year, right? But the next year didn't go like we wanted. Like we made it all the way to the finals, but we all got hurt at the finals and they won this time. But that's how life goes, right? Sometimes some people win, sometimes you lose. Right. But you can't take it, if you're scared of, like I think I had a post today about that, about missing shots. Michael Jordan says, I'm the greatest because I've missed more shots than you've even attempted, right? Like I miss and I miss and I miss, but that's why I'm the greatest because I failed, but I keep going. Mm. So for us, even in these times, I think for you guys as real estate agents, like you understand that the market is going to bounce back, right? After this, there's going to be a lot of people out there. I might be one of them looking for places to buy because things are going to be cheaper, right? So I think the magic is to continue to stay hopeful and faithful and to control your mind during these times that are tough, because then if you let it overwhelm you, you're going to miss the opportunity when it comes. The whole point is to stay prepared during this time. Like I try to use this time to take classes still, right? Yeah, I'm a basketball player. Okay. But I have aspirations after this. I have things that I want to do as well. So I keep working on myself so that when the opportunity comes, I can see it. So
well,
look,
for everybody. You don't get accepted to Stanford and to Harvard and not have the chops to be able to do it academically. We know that. Okay, it wasn't basketball. You had to know how to do what you did, right?
I'm really grateful that my mom is not on this call, because that's one of the tough things for her till today is the fact that I didn't go to Harvard. In the Nigerian household, Harvard is like, it's heaven for us. And so when they came calling, they wrote me a letter. Matter of fact, she still has that letter. She still has it like in a frame somewhere in her closet. So when I told her that I didn't want to go to Harvard and I wanted to chase this basketball dream, at the time, she didn't know what the hell basketball was. She's like, that's not why I sent you to America. That's not why we put all our savings into you going here, right? Was to go be a doctor, and you have the best school calling you, and you want to go to this other school we never even heard about. But it's about having a belief in yourself, having a belief in your dreams, in your journey, and understanding that, like, when you make whatever it is that you're working on happen, they will come along. Don't worry about the outside, right? Like, my mom is the biggest basketball. In fact, she knows all the gossip about everybody now, just in basketball. That's how much she's in the game. She's like, did you hear about, this thing? Or did you know about this thing? But that's how much she's in the game now, because she realized how much I love the game, right? And the people who care for, they're going to come, like, people are going to, nobody wants you to be hurt. Like, nobody wants you to put yourself in a situation where you take a risk, right? But if you don't risk, you don't really grow, right? Like if you don't go through times like this where you're struggling, like how do you get to shed that? How do you get to evolve, right? You just get complacent, like you talked about. So those situations, I mean, the Warriors went on to win another couple of championships after that, right? They got Kevin Durant, they evolved, they became a team that nobody could beat, right? You can say whatever you want about it, but I'm saying that's what happens after a loss, right? You go into this mode of like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna figure out a way to win, right? So that's my challenge for all you guys. I think that in this moment right now where things look rough, we have to figure out a way that we can win. Allison and I talk about this all the time. It's like, yo, during this time, even Allison has inspired me. She's like, yo, I'm taking this time, this is what she says, I'm taking this time to get ahead of everybody else who's in my industry. Because everybody's worried about what the situation is. No, I'm going to keep taking these classes. I'm going to keep working on my business plan and figure out ways to evolve. And I'll be way better than them when everything comes back to normal. That's what our mindset and our approach should be right now.
That's great. It's great thinking. Appreciate it very much.
Wait, Fesh, you should tell everybody about your Rebuilding the Beast like page and just how you find people's stories of inspiration and that type of thing.
Oh yeah. Rebuilding the Beast. Let me see, how do I even introduce this? So along my journey, I also realized that, you know, even when you go through downfalls, right, there's a reason in it. There's a reason of your pain, right? People think that you just go through, I think my dad put it best because my dad has all the African proverbs. So he gives me all of them. And he said something about me. If you hit your toe, let's say you stub your toe, right? The first thing you do is you grab it, right? And in that instant, you change your perspective. What if that was the purpose of you stubbing your toe in the first place, was to see something else, right? Maybe see under the table. Maybe there was something there that could help you, right? It's all this idea of keeping your head up. And so I remember a couple of years ago after the surgery, I was going through a really tough time mentally. I could even dare and say I was depressed, right? I'm a positive person. I'm always this guy. But it was like, man, I'm on crutches for 6 months. Dude, I'm doing rehab every day. My legs look like toothpicks. I'm like I had, like, it was crazy. I had 3 surgeries in like a span of 9 months or something. It was crazy, you know? And so I go from an NBA championship to that. And I'm like, God, why is this so hard? Like this, I'm doing everything I can. I'm a good guy. I do the right thing in the community. I'm trying to negotiate with God. I'm like, man, just help me, man. You know, and I'm so mad. I remember I went to sleep one night and I had this weird dream. And it's kind of, I think about stuff like this all the time. I had this dream where I was sitting, and my happy place is the water. So I'm assuming that's why I was at the water. I was just looking over this coast into the water. And there was like an older man sitting next to me. I don't know who this person was. It doesn't look familiar. But we're sitting there. I was like, man, I just don't understand. It's like, so what do you want to do? I said, I'm tired, man. I want to quit. I can't do it anymore. And he said, can I give you another perspective? And I said, oh, I'm listening. And he said, what if God gave you this mountain so that you can show others that it can be moved? And when he said that, I woke up a little bit after that. And I wrote that down immediately because I always forget my dreams. And I wrote it down. I kept looking at that. And I was like, I looked at it for days. Like I kept looking at it like, God gave you this mountain so you can show others it can be moved. I never understood what that meant. And then one day I was like, wow, like what if you going through it, what if it's like a sign of your strength, right? Because my father also says, like, how do you know you're strong? And I said, well, I don't understand the question. What do you mean? And he says, how do you know that you're strong? You know you're strong because you lift something that's heavy, right? If you lift light weights all the time, then you're not strong. You just, whatever it is. And so when times are hard, are you really that strong person that you say you are? Because back when I was in Vanderbilt, it was very weird and kind of serendipitous. I used to say all the time, every day, I'm a warrior. I used to say it just on some like, I'm just tough. I didn't mean I was Golden State Warrior. I didn't even know who they were, right? And it just happens that way. And so he always told me, if you say you're strong, this is the time to show that you're strong. And so During the course of my rehab, I started to, really think about those words. And, every day I would show up with a smile on my face. Like, I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna go through this. And, I had my surgery in Vail, Colorado. And when I had my surgery, I was there for 9 months. And during that time, they never had people stay that long, right? So they never, so it was kind of new for them to have somebody around for so long. So I became like one of their kind of family when I was there. PT twice a day, being there working hard every day. People are like, yo, like, how do you stay so positive all the time? And I was like, yo, that's all I know, right? I got to be positive. And so like 3 months into my surgery or into my PT, it was weird. They started bringing, like, patients would start like getting drawn to me. They would start getting drawn to my energy. Like, yo, like I see him working, and they all have surgery too. And so people would be crying and they would come over to me and they would just start talking to me. And I love that part of it because I just felt like I wanted to share light with them, whatever light that I had. And after a while of being there, the doctors would start bringing their patients to me. Like, yo, this person's having a tough day, man. Can you talk to her? I'm like, it's not my, like, this is just, me. And so along the way, I have met so many people who have things that they're fighting through, things that they're dealing with, and people who are showing a whole lot more faith than I've ever thought about, right? And these people have inspired me. I've read books about different people. And so I started like a movement. I kind of want to create a platform for it. It's called Rebuilding the Beast, right? It's about this idea that when adversity hits, that it's actually happening for you, right? And so you kind of have to fight through the tough part to get to the beautiful part. And so that process, that rebuilding process is, I want us to look at it as beautiful and not run away from the pain, because the pain is what makes us grow. So I started a page on Instagram. It's called Rebuilding the Beast. I'm going to start writing blogs because I meet people all the time that reach out to me and tell me how my story is inspiring them. And then they tell me their story. I'm like, man, you're way more inspiring than I am, And so everybody's dealing with something, right? I don't know that my injury is worse than me. There's people who have reached out to me. This guy told me, he got shot by a cop, can't walk anymore. And the cop thought he was somebody else. This life hands you these crazy lemons, right? And this dude is just positive, man. He's out there, spreading positivity on social media. There's a grandma who is, she's like 80 something, and she transformed her whole body. She's like a fitness model. Like she has a better body than me, and I'm an athlete, So there's people who have these situations, and they choose like, yo, I will make these decisions, and I'll make sure that like life is not going to beat me. Even the lady, we do these Zoom workouts every day. There's a lady who I was doing my PT with in San Francisco. I keep trying to get Allison to do it with me, but she's scared. She keeps giving me
I am
excuses.
not scared. You just do it at 10 a.m. I work out at like 6 to 8:30.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, my bad.
And so there's a lady who I used to do my PT with. And this lady, she used to have cancer, right? Like stage 4 or something crazy, right? She was blonde. And she fought through this cancer so bad because she told me, and she was like, yo, I have daughters. I have 3 daughters. And I want them to see me fight through whatever it is I'm going through. I'm not going to give up. And you can't beat me, is what her mindset was. Well, her hair came back. It came back black. And she has this crazy badass attitude. I don't know if you guys have heard of David Goggins. This is like the female David Goggins. She is a beast. And if you guys go through a workout with her, I can't even keep up. There's no way. It's like this mixture of dance and boxing and core, and she just doesn't stop. So we did a session today. It was like an hour and a half. And we got done. I'm laying on the floor, pool of sweat, everything. And she was like, maybe I might take tomorrow off, but you never know. In 6 hours, I might have that bug in me, so I might go beat up the stair climber. I'm like, you can do a stair climber. We did, there's no short, I think probably 500 squats today. No joke, right? And the whole time my legs are shaking, and she's like, nah, I'm gonna go do a stair climber. She just has this mindset of you can't beat me. And I think that's something we can all develop, right? So I get to that moment in the workout where I feel like I can't go anymore. Then I go just a little bit more, because remember, all you can do is all you can do. And so if I feel like I can't go in it, I'm gonna just throw one more punch. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, now I could go a little more. Like, there's something about our bodies that, you know, I want to learn how to control my mind more, because as your mind goes, as your thoughts go, that's how your whole body goes, and that's how you move. So that's my long spiel.
Well, that's been Festus. It's been great. You've been great. It's amazing. I took a bunch of notes here. I really appreciate you and the help and the work that you're doing. Thank you very, very much.
For sure, man. I can't wait. Hopefully someday y'all can help me get a house too. I can't wait to
You'll
down in the place. I've been a nomad for a little bit.
Oh, they'll be glad to help you do that. Allison, thank you so much for
No
helping
problem.
us
Guys,
put this together.
Monday morning, you should sit on when Neil helps inspire all of the agents on the call here to speak things into existence and yell about how they're a great salesperson.
Yeah.
So I think you'll like that, Fez. I do.
8:30, we'll send it to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Allison told me earlier today she's going to make us famous. She's so inspired by that. I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great salesperson. I'm a great salesperson.
Have you ever read that book, The Greatest Salesman in the World?
Ogmandino.
Incredible.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, good stuff.
I always put those things, I always read those books to inspire myself, because, man, there's people that, you know.
Festus, thank you so very, very much. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Good job. All right, everybody. Good work. Robert. So what I want to ask, so we're going to stay on the line for a minute or two, because I like getting, and you might want to hang around, Festus. It might be interesting to you, if you can. So the question is, what did we learn today? What did you hear today that touches you that you can help grow with? Who wants to go first? Robert.
He put his ego aside so many different times. I mean, to think about the idea that he had to take beginner classes to learn to dribble and catch, and he's with nothing but 70 and 80-year-old people. I mean, talk about putting your ego aside to just get better, you know? And then he talked about that with a couple other things, you know, about just, you know, being getting cut and just learning and keep going and all these other things. Like he just put his ego aside so many times to get better. And as we know, our ego is our biggest downfall all the time.
Our ego is not our amigo.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Armin.
Yeah, when he injured his leg the second time, it just makes me think about the WNBA player you had on. She did it 5 times.
Yeah,
so
Jackie.
You're talking about Jackie? Yeah.
Jackie.
Yeah, so it's hard to imagine you had this point of depression a little bit, and this happened to her 5 different times. So it's really unbelievable what you had to go through just once.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, there's so many people going through way more. Like Jackie's situation, I don't even know if I could keep going after 5 times. I don't know. Like, I got to get to that point, and then I realized, like, I have way more in me. All right, I'm sure she didn't know that she could go through 5 surgeries and still want to play basketball.
As soon as you're gonna give me back the cup.
Excuse me?
Sorry. So who just made a comment?
Josie,
Oh, okay.
I am so impressed that these positive affirmations just automatically come out of you. Hope is just being positive. You know, if God gave you this mountain so you could show others it could be moved. These things just are part of your language. That's great.
So like, remember I was saying about Tiger King, like, and trust me, I'm not knocking the TV show, right? I love entertainment. But I also learned this recently, like, our minds are always going towards the negative, right? So I try my best to control the things that I watch, the things that I read, the things that I see. Even social media, I try my best to limit my time on it. Matter of fact, I have somebody helping me with it now. And because I can't keep seeing these things, because then my mind goes there, right? We're so sensitive in these times that, like, you might think of it like, I was reading the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, right? Great book by Robin Sharma. And the book talks about, these monks in the mountain, And every time they would have a bad thought, they would go stand under the icy waterfalls to punish themselves. And so the guy who's recording it, he asks, isn't that that's kind of crazy, right? Like, why would you, that's just a thought. He says, yeah, but a thought sows, it keeps going, like thought sows habit, a habit goes character, it becomes who you are. So that little thought is important. And so I try to control my mind all the time and try to put positive things in, because then that's how you see the world. That's how you get your perspectives based on what you put in.
Yeah, good stuff. What else did we learn? Anyone else?
Neil, this is Abigail.
Yes, Abby.
Hey, I was just going to say that life has highs and lows, but you still have to keep going. You have to be disciplined and be faithful. No pain, no gain. There's a constant theme of rebuilding, right? He keeps rebuilding himself, which, man, I took a lot of notes because all this was, I mean, it was hitting a home run here. You know, for a couple of days, I was feeling a little depressed, and I thought, you know what? I need to stop this. I need to, it's a constant, for me, it's rebuilding myself, right?
Right.
And then all you can do is all you can do. Have you done everything you can do? And so sometimes I go, when I sleep at night, I tell my husband, hey, honey, I just feel like I could do more. I could have done more. So I'm, that hit home as well. And I'm the greatest because I've missed a lot of shots. So there you go.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. Good stuff. All right. What else did we learn?
I also don't think, I'm also not somebody who advocates like you should always, you don't have to always be doing something, right? All you should do could also be you taking care of yourself too, right? In those moments where you feel like, man, I don't have it today. I had one of those days 2 days ago, and I called a friend. I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. I just feel unmotivated today, right? I worked out in the morning, everything. I did everything I was supposed to, and I was like, yeah, I still don't feel. He was like, it's okay. Like, you're gonna have days like that. You're going through a tough time right now. We don't understand what's going on. None of us know. I'm assuming none of us have been through this before, right? So we're all experiencing something, and you have to have that space to be kind to yourself, to understand, like, yo, I'm gonna have bad days, and it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day.
Exactly. So good a thought. So well said. All right, everyone. Festus, again, thank you so much. Allison, thank you so much. Really, really good stuff.